Hello dear friends, in the last moment before publishing this I am adding a foreword regarding the recent deactivation of most my videos, including the Survivors series, which I think was quite good actually. I was trying to keep them available at least in audio format, and that's why a couple of days ago I troubled you with these notifications of two newly uploaded videos, which became private after that. What happened was I was trying to use the YouTube blur tool, and it published the videos that I was trying to blur without asking me, and not even blurring them. Some segments of the YouTube publisher interface are extremely poorly made and don't function properly. I will make my best to make that material available somehow in the future. At least the audio part shouldn't be a problem. But what I noticed from the correspondence that I received regarding the deactivation of the videos is that at least half of the people are misinformed about how exactly the free speech suppression takes place. People are disinformed about the actual stories which unfold, because people don't understand the actual story. That's why they make wrong conclusions, and at the end don't take the steps to remedy this sad situation because they don't know what is the situation. So I will make a separate video about the technicalities of suppressing free speech, and meanwhile these are some of the newly completed paintings which could be won in the raffle, which I will broadcast also soon. So in the previous videos about the types of ruins called Domus de Janus in Sardinia, which translated means homes of the fairies, I concentrated on the point that they really don't correspond to our size of human beings. But there is also another very interesting point about them, and that is their sheer number. Far less than 1% of them are preserved and marked as historic sites. The rest lay abandoned and overgrown with cactuses. The winds smoothen the entries and they start resembling natural holes. The number of hills with Uncharted Domus de Jana ruins, hundreds of them, that we saw just by driving just besides the road in Sardinia, was just unbelievable. Here, one of the many examples, we noticed a hill in the distance with kind of regular shaped holes, and we decided to go and see what is that all about. Many of these naturally looking holes from far away turned out to be Domus de Janus, and even those that we were not sure if they were Domus de Janus, they could have been simply the back sides of the rooms remaining now, the rest being devoured by the erosion. Here on this hill we also found the ultimate evidence, the missing link. Finally, we understood why the penguins claim that the Domus de Janus are necropolises. A certain penguin might have seen a dead goat in one of the Domus de Janus and run screaming, "Burials! Burials!" And that is how the indisputable scientific theory that all these are necropolises emerged. The officials didn't even bother to select the best Domus de Janus when they were deciding which of them will be fenced and advertised as historic sites. Very often we would see rows of Domus de Janus, hundreds of them, and a couple of them would be like fenced with labels and all that. And those would be the historic sites, and the rest would be just abandoned, or people would use them as garages or sheds, things like that. I can't blame them for not preserving as historic sites all of Domus de Janus, for from what I gather, there must be tens of thousands of them. But what I wonder is, did anybody ever bother to study all of them? Because to really study them, you need to see them first, and that's a lot by itself. This was one of the more interesting among the dozens of hills entirely taken over by Domus de Janus. Here the premises seem to be rather large, and they also kind of curve from one floor to another. That would have been interesting to visit and see how it looks when you enter, but since we would see at least a couple of hills per day like this in the distance, we eventually gave up. We could not visit all of them, otherwise we would never reach the hotel each evening. And also when we try to venture at such fenced sites, it is never sure that we can enter, and that's why we stuck to the sites which are obviously opened for visiting without fences. And by fences I mean mostly the dogs that are usually associated with such fences, because lots of people in Sardinia are still shepherds, and they keep well-trained dogs. Very often the regular corners of ruins would flash in the corner of our eyes when we are driving and disappear. And speaking of Uncharted ruins, we saw this hill on our way. It was in an area with lots of rock-cut ruins. I cannot say that I'm 100% sure that it is historic, but after examining it, I think it is 90% likely that it is historic. Moreover, in previous videos I showed you almost identical one in central Italy. On all the segments around these fields in this immediate area here, wherever the earth was not plowed and the stone was showing, there were all kinds of historic marks and scratches and Domus de Janus and things like this. This really looked like part of this complex of rock-cut ruins. I'm just trying to convey this impression of the incredible amount of ruins in Sardinia. You look on the left, it's Nuraghe, on the right is Domus de Janus, built on older vehicle tracks. And then in a couple of 100 meters is the next Nuraghe, and 12 more or 200 more Domus de Janus. And to be honest, I really don't think anybody is studying this seriously at all.